You know, one of the obstacles that Moses was going to face in the calling that God had given him was going to be the hardness of Pharaoh's heart. The scriptures are very, very interesting when they talk about the hardness of Pharaoh's heart. Sometimes, probably more often than not, the scriptures say that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Sometimes it says that Pharaoh hardened Pharaoh's heart, and then sometimes it just says that his heart was hardened. But what we're looking at today is the reason that it was going to be difficult. God says in Exodus 4:21 through 23, "And the Lord said to Moses, when you go back to Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the miracles that I've put in your power. But I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, Israel is my firstborn son, and say to you, let my son go that he may serve me. If you refuse to let him go, I will kill your firstborn son." You know, the plan was very, very clear that the people were going to be released and that God was going to do whatever was necessary to get them out of there, and eventually he would kill the firstborn son of Pharaoh. But what is difficult in this passage, but you must learn to embrace, is that the reason that Pharaoh's heart was so hard was because God hardened it. You know, that's something that we wrestle with. And I think, let me help you with this a little bit, that when God hardens people's hearts, the only hope is that God would soften them. And that really is our only hope in this world today, that people come into this world in their sins, hard-hearted, and by their own very sinful nature, they are haters of God. And that we need to pray that God would open their eyes, that God would remove the blinders, that God would raise them from the dead, that God would soften their hearts. Moses' biggest obstacle in this passage really was God's hardening of Pharaoh's heart. But the beauty, the other side of this passage is God would get his way. God always gets his way. No matter how you slice it or how you cut it, God always gets his way. When it comes to the lost people in your life, when it comes to the hard-hearted people in your life, pray this prayer. God, would you soften their hearts? Would you open their eyes to their sin? Would you allow them to see that which is separating them from you? And then trust God to do according to his perfect will.